Hey there, it's Andrea Caprio from Wellness Methods. Today I want to share with you how to lose belly fat in 6 simple steps. I want to speak about, first of all, why we have belly fat and why actually it's so dangerous, and give you my top tips. Now, I am really getting a lot of clients who have belly fat, and as a transformational nutrition coach and digestive health specialist, I of course work a lot with these people to help them, and I've seen amazing successes with implementing my simple steps I'm gonna share with you just now. Now, I just want to explain to you also why it's so dangerous. So let's perhaps start how it all works and what makes visceral fat wrapped around your organs actually so bad. Because there's fat and fat, let's face it. And visceral fat is which are wrapped around your organs, around your belly, and which gives you the belly fat, is really something which actually prevents your organs to function properly. It has an influence on your digestion in terms of that you can't digest toxins anymore so well, and of course it prevents your organs from functioning 100%. So why do we develop this in the first thing? Of course, it's the link to the gut, to your digestive system. Usually it starts with an overflow of sugar. Now, if you have too much sugar or just carbohydrates, and these are usually your refined carbohydrates like white flour and things like that, and refined or processed foods, eventually what sets in is that your system can't deal with it anymore. And that's when we start having blood sugar issues, blood sugar imbalances. Because when you throw more and more sugar or glucose at your body, your insulin levels eventually can't keep up, because normally your insulin are there to transform the sugar and bring it into your cells. So when this is not working anymore properly, eventually too much sugar stores as fat, and the fat is the visceral fat, which is around your organs. And when you have that, that causes inflammation, more gut issues, issues with your liver, and so on and so on. You might start getting a little bit the circle here. It's unfortunately a vicious circle, so importance is of course to interrupt that vicious circle. Because once you have those, the belly fat, it can lead to all kind of inflammation, hormonal issues. It might even lead to thyroid issues, of course, stress, your adrenals are affected, and so on and so on. So additionally to that, often we have, once you get gut issues as a result, you might also develop intolerances, like food intolerances or sensitivities, allergies. You might get skin issues because your body can't just keep up anymore with all the food, which eventually becomes toxic. And having all this toxic food, or perhaps other toxins which add on, is just keeping the fat where it is, and it builds up and it builds up, and of course leads to more issues. So there is really important that when you have belly fat is to work on lowering it, and of course getting a flatter stomach, reducing the risk of overweight, and through better lifestyle habits and eating habits to help you with this one, so you eventually can reverse the issues. Now, how can you tell actually when or if your belly fat is putting you at health risk? That's often what I get. I mean, let's face it, I'm not that young anymore. I do have a little belly, but I know also, that doesn't put me at health risk. But usually you would say the higher the number, the size of your waist, obviously the more risk it is. And that is something you should always check with your doctor. And by the way, just for you to know the tips I'm giving you here, please always check with your doctor. I don't know you, and you would want to check and not just follow blindly any tip you get anywhere, because we all are different. And of course, your doctor or healthcare provider is always the best person to make sure you do the right thing. Now, in general, you say for women a waist measure of 35 inches or more is a cause for concern, and for men it's 40 inches. However, that depends again a little bit on how tall you are, and on a lot of other figures, but that's just perhaps like to give you a little bit an idea. And why is it called visceral fat, actually, the fat in your belly? It's because it builds up in the spaces between and around your viscera. And these are the internal organs like your stomach and intestines. And when you have that, that can lead to more trouble because, of course, they can't function anymore as good as without that. And that might, prevent you from sleeping well and leads to more problems and so on and so on. Of course, also when you have that fat, it adds to further toxin buildup and affects, as I mentioned, how your body works, and especially dangerous for cardiovascular, metabolic, insulin, glucose-related issues and conditions such as diabetes, cancer as well, memory issues, dementia, inflammation, depression, or other mood disorder. So it's kind of all linked together, together with your gut health as well. So I want to provide you here with 6 easy habits to help lose your belly fat. But please keep in mind, those habits, if you stick to them, will certainly change a lot. I can promise you that. But it is about implementation, of course. So start with one and implement it as a habit, and then go to the next one and the next one. And again, I always recommend for people to work with coaches or with a nutritionist, to really implement the right habits and the right lifestyle habits as well. So the first of my tips is sleep. That easy, yes. Sleep is they've done studies, and they have done studies where they deprive people of sleep versus another group which was not deprived, and the difference in weight loss was 37%. So those people who slept 8 hours or more lost 37% of weight, versus those who were sleep deprived and they slept something like 4 or 5 hours, they had 37% more weight. And that's just working on your hormones and, of course, also on your body, which needs to rest to recuperate. But especially it works on the hormones which are linked to your hunger and to your satiety levels, and just help you actually to have less cravings as well. Plus, of course, your body which recuperates. So try to sleep 8 hours. And of course, there very important is a sleep routine, a healthy sleep routine, and a lot of other things to improve your sleep. For example, you should not use electronics just before going to sleep. So if you watch this just before going to sleep, it's not a good idea. At least you could wear those yellow glasses, which already help you with this little tip here. The second thing is to cut out carbs and sugar. Carbohydrates are healthy if they're combined with fiber, but unfortunately in today's refined and processed food, which a lot of people eat, the carbs are deprived from any nutrients and any fiber, and that makes them, being like sugar, unhealthy. So instead of that, replace rather with healthy proteins, healthy fats, and a lot of vegetables. For me, that's one of the big things I work with all my clients on, is to follow those tips already, is making a huge difference as well. Because also healthy protein and fats together with vegetables, which have the fiber, helps you to keep your blood sugar stable. Less cravings and, of course, less weight as a result. And it also messes up less your digestive system and your whole hormonal health as well. The third tip is high impact exercise or interval exercise. That helps definitely with belly fat. So I always invite you to follow those tips. High impact exercises is short burst or interval is short burst of high activity, of fast activity. For example, it can be a quick run of 15 to 30 seconds, a little walk of 1 minute. Quick run, 15 to 30 seconds, a walk. Same, you can achieve that with a bicycle or whatever you want, but that is really something which helps with belly fat. And just as a side note, by just doing exercise and continuing eating unhealthy food, you're not going to change much. Exercise is about 20%, whereas food is about 80% of your weight loss if you want achieve that, or weight gain if you're not following the good recommendations. So the most important part is the food, but with belly fat, I highly recommend additional exercise. Reduce stress, so you want to work on your stress management. You can do that perhaps by implementing meditation or yoga or breathing exercises, little walks, but definitely work on reducing your stress if you want to achieve something there. One of the tips a lot of people forget is that food intolerances or food sensitivities and allergies lead to very often a toxin build-up, inflammation in your body, and that leads to belly fat. And by removing the food you're intolerant to, you might actually win half of the battle. Foods a lot of people are intolerant to are gluten, and I'm sure you have heard that. In gluten you find a lot in wheat. Sugar, of course, is actually, people are intolerant to sugar, believe it or not. But also dairy is about 70% of population in America is actually intolerant or sensitive to dairy. Corn, soya, eggs are another very high allergic or sensitivity food. And you might also be even sensitive to so-called healthy food. So I always recommend to check for that. You can do tests, but also just by doing an elimination diet, you will be able to find out what food you might be intolerant or sensitive to. That is something, by the way, I work with my clients on. If you're interested to learn more, please feel free to contact me. But you don't need to do complicated tests. Just by following an elimination diet, you can, in a food journal, you can find out a lot about your how you react to foods, and of course then remove them and eventually reintroduce them once you are better. And the last thing which I recommend as making really a huge difference in getting down your belly fat is mindful eating. And that's just simply done by spending time and being present while you eat. Because when you're really mindful, your brain, which is actually part of your digestive system, believe it or not, but by already using your brain and being in the present, your digestion improves, your enzymes, your stomach acid, which helps to break down the food you eat and helps you also to absorb actually the right food. And this in return helps you to digest better, and you get less belly fat when you do that. So these are things, mindful eating is really big game changer. You eat also less actually when you do that. You just come more in tune with your body while you're eating. And all these things help a lot with belly fat. I've seen amazing results with my clients. By the way, if you're interested to learn more, there is a little gift for you with my top tips and more other tips you want perhaps to follow to implement healthy habit. So you can just download it so you have it and you can use it whenever you want. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a fabulous day or evening wherever you are. And just remember to follow those tips, look into them because they make a huge difference. And I'm here if you have any more questions. Take care. Bye-bye. It's Andrea Caprio from Wellness Methods.